guys. So, your first lesson, the drip lesson. This will be week two, basically. Our first lesson is going to be the bouncy ball, which I kind of screwed around with on our first tour. Go watch the tours. I'm going to put them in the main classroom stream and not in the tutorial dashboard. This will be in the tutorial dashboard, and it will be called the drip. Okay, so it's basically like a liquid effect, kind of like lava lamp, but basically we're going to imagine a drip of liquid dropping from like a ceiling, okay, with a splash, splash, okay. Anyways, when we look at this, you can see all the stuff that I was showing you before. There's a crappy little practice one that I showed you on the tour. I'm going to delete that. So I'm going to go up here. There's a little house icon at the very top left-hand corner, and if you click on that, it takes you home. And you can see icons at the bottom too. If you wanted to create a storyboard or a sequence, you could do it there, or you could click on the gold plus sign where it says recent. If you look at the bottom of each animation that I've created here, there's three little gold dots. And that's where if you click on those three little gold dots right there, I'm going to make it kind of blink on and off. If you click on those, they're hard to spot. So look where see where it's blinking. If you click on that, you can basically export this, preview it, duplicate it, rename it, whatever. I'm going to remove it. And it says, you sure you want to do that? And you say, yeah. Because that was crappy anyways, and I don't want that around. All right, so we're going to click on the plus sign, create a new sequence. And we're going to create a white background color. I'm going to call this, I can type in, because of my handy, oops. I'm going to type in drip and hit, and we're going to keep it all at the default down there at 24 frames. 12 frames per second. Basically, 12 frames per second is internet frame rate, frames per second of video. But if we were doing like hardcore video, a typical like average is 24. Sometimes there's like special video processes that are like 36 and stuff like that. But basically for internet, it's 12 frames per second. Now, if we were doing this for like an actual movie, we would be doing 24 frames. So 12 is fine. So we're going to hit start. And there's our blank stage, and there's all of our frames. We're not going to need all those frames. I'm going to show you how to get rid of them later as we go. So the first thing I'm going to do is on frame one, I'm going to go get my drawing tool. I'm going to pick the drawing tool of my choice, and we're just doing line art right now. Remember, you know, no fills, just black and white, that kind of stuff. Is I'm going to draw the liquid at the top of my ceiling. Okay, and then frame two, I'm going to turn on onion skinning. Remember, that's the little gold light bulb icon over there in your toolbar. And so you got to imagine this is the gravity is pulling it down. Okay, so it's going to be coming in. So as I draw it, it doesn't, whoops, I clicked on my eraser. It doesn't let you draw past the edge of the paper, which is sort of handy and sort of not. Frame three. So I'm doing frame by frame animation. And as the drip gravity is pulling it down, it's kind of getting skinnier on the sides. And so now it's going to start getting more drip-like. You got to envision this stuff in your head. Imagine it as slime. It's going to be getting skinnier as it's forming into the droplet that's going to snap off. All right, and then it'll get really skinny, and then there it'll snap off. Now I kind of drew it too big, so I ran out of space here. All right, so there we're going to do the sploosh. When you do liquid splooshing, it doesn't have to in between and transform into each other as well. So typically, if we were doing like an in between type of frame, we would, we would try to draw like an extension of the same movement and stuff like that. But when a liquid effect happens, and even fire, you don't have to follow that rule as much. So I'm going to kind of just loosely kind of exaggerate the sploosh, and then we're going to have some splashes come up where the longest pieces were, because those would be like what shot off. And then frame 12 will basically have the droplets coming down. I don't like that one. And we'll see if this works. And this is animation basically is experimentation. Yeah, we're gonna do another little sploosh there. All right. And we'll see how that looks. Okay. And then we might have to destroy some frames. I'm pretty sure I did some stuff that's not going to work. And we may have to add some in-between stuff. And we're just going to see. I try to draw frame by frame by frame by frame. I did not do my keyframes. When we do certain things, it's sometimes important to, like, I'm going to go up to a new layer here. So I'm over here on a new layer. It's sometimes important, like when we're doing, like when I did the jumping figure, where I have my first frame, and then I go and like further up, like frame 5 or something, and I add my last frame. Okay, so sometimes it's important to do the first and the last, and then I kind of backtrack and go in reverse. There's different ways of doing things, and then sometimes you just want to go frame by frame by frame by frame. Sometimes you want to do the key poses, and then in between the key poses, sometimes you might have a key pose every other frame, sometimes like every 5 frames. It all depends. But the concept that we want to get into right now is basically frame by frame. With the ball lesson that we did last week, we learned that you kind of can do the keyframes first and then go backtrack and do the reverse frames or the in-between frames. So you go in reverse and kind of do after you do the keyframes. This is a little different because we're going to be creating sort of a transformation. The next lesson after the drip is going to basically be the metamorphosis lesson. And I'm going to do something that'll kind of take that to a new level where it'll be a combination of everything with the Dragonfire. But right now, let's kind of just, let's get rid of that new layer, or we'll clear it. And so Little Man is dead. And then we'll go back. Oh, Little Man is still there. Let's just delete the layer. All right. So now let's hit play. All right. It's a little stiff. So let's scrub it. I'm thinking these parts are okay. Now, if I wanted it to linger, let's say, let's go back. Let's see. So we'll scrub from here to there. That's pretty good. That could use an in-between. And see how it's like really extreme? So how do we in-between that? Well, you just select the frame, and then you go click on it and add a blank frame. And then you can see the onion skinning between the two. So I can see the small one on frame 2 and the longer one on frame 4. And so basically I would just go ahead and draw an in-between version of that. Okay, so let's take off onion skinning and see what that looks like. All right, it's kind of getting skippy there. I wasn't very good with my in-between. So from here to there to there, I wasn't very good. So what do? Well, I could take that and just delete it. Okay, and now I can go back to frame 2 and add a new blank frame. Turn back on onion skinning, okay, and then kind of try to fix that a little bit. Okay, will that be enough? Okay, I was a little bit off on the side there. You see, like right here, I'm not so good. I'm gonna do that. So I'm not sure what that's gonna look like. So I'm gonna hit play, and it's still a little bit skippy. Okay, so when you do even if it's simple drawing, you'll get that shakiness, that skippiness. Let's delete it again. Okay, if you're not too precise. Okay, or if you try to do too much in between your movements, you know. So um, I'm gonna go and add a new frame again. Oops, that's duplicating my frame, so I'm gonna cancel that. I'm gonna go to add a blank frame. Okay, turn back on onion skinning, and then try to be more precise. Okay, and then from here to there, do I need another one? I might. Let's see. Oops, nope. There we go. Nope, don't like that. Don't like that. Do I need another one in between there? I can't really fit one in there very well. Okay, you can kind of see with the onion skinning. So do I want to delete that? Yeah, I do. And this is how we work out our animations, is we just try. If it doesn't work, we add an in between. If it doesn't need an in between, and that kind of thing. Okay. Now, what else is not working is probably the second splash. So let's hit play. Poop. No, that actually works out okay. I think it's all right. How can we create a different timing there where it snaps off quickly and lingers? Let's go over here, like right there. Shouldn't it linger there for like a second before it snaps off? So how can we do that? Well, we can go ahead and add a duplicate, like maybe 2 frames of the same one. So now the timing is going to change on it. I'm going to turn off onion skinning. I'm going to rewind it. I'm going to hit play. So now it's pausing. Is it pausing too long? Yes. So I can go over here and say, why don't we delete frame 10? Okay, I'm going to rewind. Okay, now if I want it to be even smoother, I would go and create like some in-between frames. Like from here to there, I might create a little bit of an in-between. Maybe I'll go over here and add a blank layer and then turn back on onion skinning, and I can kind of see between the two drawings. Now, sometimes when you do this, it can be confusing, like, what am I looking at? And you kind of have to let your brain kind of like pause for a second to figure out like what is what. Okay. And so like right there, the longer one, that's the first one. And then that's the second one, the shorter one. So when I do that, I'm going to put it in between. And this might create even more problems for me if I don't do it very well. Um, so we'll see how that looks. We'll turn off. Okay. But it's all experimentation. Like I don't think I even need that. Okay. It doesn't hurt it. Pause. So I'll go back. How I get rid of that in between that I just did that's crappy. Just select it and hit delete. Remember, each frame has its own piece of paper. The piece of paper is called the stage. And you just basically, you're not, the computer isn't really animating anything over. It's basically just showing you rapidly all those pieces of paper, like an old flip book animation where people would draw in the little corner of the pad of paper and then flip through it rapidly to create the animation. Um, that's basically what's happening here. Now, how many frames did I put in mine? I put 19 in there. Do you need 19? No. I probably could have got away with like maybe 14. Just had like these little splashes go off screen. Like I could have just had the little splashes here just shoot away, and that would be it. I would be fine with that. Okay, but this is your basic lesson. This is all you got to do is we're creating a transformation. Okay, this is going to lead to your metamorphosis lesson, which will be next week. And your metamorphosis lesson, you're going to have like three shapes change into each other, like a circle becomes a um, square, becomes a star, or something like that, or a heart shape, or whatever. You'll have three shapes change into each other. So the three shapes will be your keyframes, and then the in between frames will be the transformations from, let's say, circle into triangle. Okay, and you'll see that Mr. Rodriguez is going to do that, but I'm going to do it with you in class. So this is kind of leading up to that. Um, and this is also a little kind of a better lesson on squash and stretch because we're exaggerating the movement. Okay, I mean I could basically have got like that to that really quick. If I had put more in betweens here, I'd have a smoother transition. Okay. So if you want a smoother transition, experiment with adding more frames in between. If it looks too choppy, like dit, 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 it's probably because you don't have enough in between motion or in between drawings between your major stages. Okay, and you'll have to go back and basically click on that frame, add a blank frame in between, and then do an in between drawing there. But make sure you have onion skinning on over there in the corner to see the individual frames before and after. And this is where it can kind of get difficult even just at this stage is like, well, drawing it so that it looks like it's transitioning, from one stage, one physical state to the next. Okay. So it's like a metamorphosis. This line is becoming the next line, is becoming the next line, is becoming the next line, that kind of thing. So hopefully that makes sense. And you're kind of getting the hang of this. I'll do this in class with you a million times, but this is the basic lesson that you'll see in class. And to encourage you to come to the meets more often, because there's some people that are just coming and watching the YouTubes, I will go over stuff in the meets that I'm not covering here in the YouTube specifically to make you come to the meets. So make sure that you're going to the meets every day, or at least most of the time, because I will be covering things in the meets that I do not or talk about here in the the YouTube tutorial dashboard lesson. Also, I know some people are probably wondering still, like, well, how do I get to all those frames that you showed in the original tour? There's four little boxes down there at the bottom over here. So you see where your layer's at? Right down there at the bottom, below that, there's four little squares. So right there, like above frame 11, those four squares, if you click on those, that'll show you all the frames. So now how do I get rid of all this excess stuff that I don't need anymore? Well, I'm going to want to keep frame 21 because that's where they all disappear. So where it says select at the top up there, you just go and click on each one, and then you can go down here to this little trash can icon and hit delete, and it's basically wiped out. Okay. Oh, and I have that extra one up there that I don't need. I can go ahead and just wipe that out here. I could have done it there too. I'm going to turn off onion skinning. Now, how do we export this into a movie for Mr. Dubin to get as a grade that you would turn in? Well, up there at the very top of the toolbar, there's three little dots, okay? And then there's looks like mountains with a plus sign, the same icon we used to import in artwork into Sketchbook. And that's where you can go to your files or your camera, your photos. It says camera roll, but that means your photos, and import in artwork, like let's say your space background from Sketchbook. Okay, the last one that looks like a play button, it's a white arrow on a dark box. Okay, that allows you to basically export this as a movie. Okay, that you can turn in to me, and I would probably do it as a GIF file. You have resolutions that you can choose from, I believe. Um, I don't know if it limits you. I'd have to go and check regular Animation Desk because I'm in the Pro version if it limits you the resolution, but I don't care. And then you could just go ahead and hit Start. It says export was successful, view in files. Okay, you could, where the little box is down there, you can hit More. And this is where you can basically mail it to me or even save the files to a different folder on my iPad. Okay, if I want to do that. I can Gmail it to myself. See how cool is that? That'll be right there in the animation. So I'll say to Dubin underscore drip lesson. Okay. I could go say save to, let's say, animation. What else can we do down there? Just going to cancel it. All right. So we can go over to my email. We can go to my school mail. And there's my drip lesson. I'm on my iPad, so it might give me some trouble because I can't download it here, but I would just be able to see that on my computer when I go and, you know, check your file. So back to Animation Desk. We'll go to the Home button, and we're basically done for the day. Okay. That's it for today, folks. Next week we'll do Metamorphosis. I'll cover more of this in class. I'll cover more about exporting. There's a different video type up there at the top that you can do just plain video, Photoshop files, PDFs. I think some of those are locked out though for your basic version of Animation Desk. All right. And I'll see you in class. Bye, guys.